What is going on, guys? MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the high-grade Police Zaku from Mobile Suit's Gundam GQuuuuuuX. The primary makeup of Side 6's military police force, they were adopted to keep Zeon's power in check while controversially maintaining public order. This new rendition of the Zaku comes with 8 runners and a decal sheet, and despite it being a new take on the design, a lot of the kit follows the common beats of a high-grade Zaku. If you've built at least one before, you'll recognize some of these steps. That said, the GQuuuuuuX design features a number of new elements, and while those don't hurt the difficulty much, they certainly get a bit weird to get used to, especially with the hip parts. For this version in particular, being made up of mostly blues and dark shades, nut marks can get quite prominent on some of the pieces, so extra cleanup efforts will be required. Besides that, it's quite a simple high grade to build and a refreshing take on a classic design depending on who you ask. The departure that GQuuuuuuX designs take when rendering their own versions of beloved classics is something I can't get fully on board with, and the Zaku is no different. The top half is mostly recognizable, meanwhile I do like the clear parts for the emergency lights, with the internal pick looking like the rotating assembly. To a lesser extent, I do like the armored shins and the feet looking like proper shoes, making it look sporty. However, I really cannot get behind the oversized bras on the wide hips to act as its primary propulsion and fuel supply, as it is impractical and hazardous while looking ridiculous. Nevertheless, the high grade has translated the aesthetics well. Meanwhile, the part separation used is quite sufficient, meaning the only missing paint dabs are the red rims inside the thrusters and the grey for the light stalks. And while there is a sheet of decals to replicate the monoline in all the police logos and trims, I haven't put the latter on because this thing requires a top to bottom respray for anime accuracy. So I plan to only apply them after the repaint, and after having done so, I personally think that the stickers, well, they look naff. There are no sculpted references as to where to put the stickers, instead the stickers themselves have to wrap over the surface sculpting, which make them look less than ideal. And besides the border issues that are very common with sticker type decals, I've also had to paint the details on the forehead just because those decals were lost to the void before I even completed the process. Honestly, the sheets of water decals and some mark setter and softer will produce a far better result. That being said, seam lines aren't a noticeable problem for this kit. Overall, the GQuuuuuuX Zaku mold looks great as a representation, though aesthetic liking is in the eyes of the beholder. Articulation starts with a hinged ball-jointed head, though the head shake can limit your grip and restrict the head rolls. Meanwhile, the tab under the eye can be used to move the mono eye. The shoulders are on a butterfly joint and ball joint, while the clavicle pieces can swivel. Meanwhile, the shoulder attachments can move to get out of the way of the arm raise. There's a bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, and ball jointed wrists. The hinge and 2 ball joints in the torso and waist provide wide crunches and a full waist rotation, while the legs can kick front to back very well, but not so much to the sides because the hips are just too busty. There's a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and hinged ball-jointed feet with a dedicated ankle tilt. Finally, every single thruster is ball-jointed. The articulation is fairly typical for a Zaku, and the rigidity is fairly good minus one of the knee joints of my copy. The bigger issue is how the lower body is quite restricted by its design, so even playing along with the weirdness doesn't do much good to push its limits, especially when its small feet result in poor balance in more dynamic ground poses. Accessories are quite light with this kit, starting with a pair of holding hands in the left open palm. Weapons start with a redesigned Zaku machine gun. Looking shorter and very much like a water gun you'd see at a pool, it features a moving foregrip and simply sandwiches into the hand for use. The other carryover is the Heat Hawk. Smaller and less detailed than a Tominosuke version, it simply slides into the holding hand for very secure use. The unique add-ons are the shield and electric baton. The shield can be equipped onto the wrist guards, while the baton can be extracted and slid into the hands for use. A somewhat more appropriate riot police loadout should lethal force not be your first choice for crowd suppression or apprehension. To be honest, I'm not really feeling the high-grade GQuuuuuuX Zaku mold, but to start, the kit builds up simply enough, and besides the inaccurate colors of the Police Zaku, the looks are accurate to its bizarre design. Meanwhile, the Police Zaku has swapped out the bazooka for riot gear, but they're not the most interesting accessories if I'm honest. Granted, even that separates the Police Zaku from its counterparts, but the one thing that hinders the fun is the articulation. The new design elements just hinder the range of movement way too much, especially on the lower body, making posing far too awkward for my liking. On the other hand, my particular copy has some loose joints that are not great to deal with. It's still a decent kit, all things considered, but it doesn't really hold a torch to the others of the GQuuuuuuX lineup. If I had to say anything, especially with the benefits of hindsight, I'd say that the others of the line will serve you far better if you're not a particular fan of the GQuuuuuX Zaku, the police variant being no exception. And that's all for me. Thank you for watching, drop a like and comment if you did enjoy the video, subscribe for more content like this, and a special thank you to the channel members' credits in the description below. That said, take it easy, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.